My name is Nico Lagan, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. Today we speak about the results of the budget. Obviously, we all knew what would happen, but some very interesting information came out afterwards because people tabulated the results, so we're going to talk about that. And then at 8:30 we are joined by the food professor to speak about cloned meats. You heard that right. Cloned meats. So we're going to be talking about that in 30 minutes, 25 minutes, give or take. But until then, let's talk about the election. Are you surprised? Not the election, sorry. The lack there is of election. Surprised?
You know, I feel like whatever way it went, part of me would have found it surprising, and part of me would not have found it surprising. Like if there was an election, part of me would be like, "Oh wow, that's surprising," but at the same time, I'd be like, "Yeah, not really though." And I feel the same way about that. There's not going to be an election. It made. I think the Liberals wanted one. They just couldn't. They couldn't make it seem like they didn't want one enough. They couldn't make it. They couldn't put it in such a way that they were able to blame the Conservatives on it.
Yeah, I think that's
What
where
do you
we
think?
disagree. I used to believe
Yeah.
that they wanted one, but I don't believe that they did because they're just going to steal the election.
Yeah,
They don't
that's true
need.
too. Yep.
They don't need it. They don't need it. They made us believe that they wanted one, but they don't need it.
Yeah, and it's
Plain and
it's even
simple.
possible they changed strategy. In the last week or two, because I think it did seem like they kind of wanted an election, but then maybe a week or so ago they might have been like, "Wait a minute, we don't need one. We can just steal enough MPs for a majority."
It's here's some information that came out. I literally we stopped the stream. I went to eat and I come back. There's somebody that posted the actual results, and I did not realize that those were the numbers. But let me pull that on screen here, and I confirmed those numbers I just did. So what I'm going to show you is
Let me see.
actually accurate. Yeah, so Mr. Sunshine Baby is reporting that the results were 170 to 168, and there are two conservatives
Wow.
that said that abstained from voting. I went and I grabbed the number. When I saw it, I'm like, what the fuck? And so here are the numbers. So for the Liberal Party, obviously, they have 153 seats. 153 of them said nay. Or said yes, obviously they voted for it. Then the Conservatives, the numbers I have here is saying 119, but as per that screenshot here, it's 118. But 119 seats, 118 would have voted nay. One abstained. The Bloc Québécois all voted nay. The NDP abstained. The 24 seats said they wouldn't vote. The Green Party said yes. So the result is indeed 170 yes for 168 nay. So literally what you're seeing on screen right now. So I don't know how much clearer this can be that the Conservatives want to stay in opposition.
Well,
That's all they want. They have no intentions of because again, right there, they could have potentially had, because you know how that works, right? If it's equal,
if
the
it's
leader
tied,
of the house will he's gonna rule.
and it's a liberal, right?
Obviously, but all they had to do, literally all they had to do, is to bribe May with like a case of vodka, and they could have had their election.
Yeah, I mean those two. It certainly makes things interesting because it would have been tied 170, 170. And it makes you wonder, it does make me wonder a little bit about Poilievre's leadership. Like, why did he not whip those two votes? Why did he not ensure? Now, as you say, probably wouldn't have changed because it would have went to the speaker and he would have voted yes, obviously. But it's interesting. How the fuck do you miss the budget meeting?
Especially that, no, there was a bunch. I think there was like 10 or 15, give or take. I don't have the exact number, but from what we were watching, there's probably 10 to 15 MPs that voted remotely.
Okay.
So the option is there. You have no reasons not to be there.
No,
But let's
no,
say
no.
that you can't. Sorry, you have no reasons to not vote. You could have reasons not to be there, whatever. That shit happens, I get it. But if you can vote electronically, what's your
Well,
reason for
that's why it
abstaining?
almost feels like strategic not being there. Like, because if you really wanted to vote, even if you weren't there, you could have done so. So it almost makes me, I don't know. If that were a deciding factor, let's say there was 3 of them, or the vote was only 1, and that could have gotten the election, I would say then that's definitely Polyev telling these guys, listen, don't show up, because we can't make it look like we're passing this budget, but we cannot afford an election right now, or we don't want one right now.
However you look at it, I know what the answer is. They're opposition. They're just there to make it look like it's bread and circuses. But let's say that I'm wrong. Let's assume that I'm wrong. How do you explain this? No matter how you look at this, it looks bad. Either Pierre Polyev cannot get his own
guys
party member.
Yeah.
Either that's a way of rebellion. So he can't stop people from walking away from his party going to the Liberals. He can't whip his people to vote in favor of Canadians and go against that damn fucking budget. Because even the Bloc Québécois, every single one of them voted against it. So again, they had the opportunity to go take a run at it, and the NDP abstaining is a pussy move, but it still opened the door to the Conservative. All they needed is one. All they needed was one extra vote.
Yep.
And they would have won.
So this is why guy says, I think this is exactly what I'm thinking. He said the abstentions 100%. On the CBC was to make sure it would not pass because they didn't know about May, right? So these guys, they're doing behind the scenes vote counts. They roughly know where it's going to land, and they probably said, look, we don't know what May's going to do, but if she says no, then we're going to need 2 of our guys to not be there or we might actually cause an election. I don't think Polyev wanted an election at all, and I think he told those 2 to stay home because they didn't know which way May would vote, and if she went no, they could have accidentally fallen into an election. And again, it's kind of ridiculous, right? Like the way I see it, these guys should be chomping at the bit for. If you're in the opposition party, you should always want an election. You should always think that you're going to win. And it's just they're very comfortable. They're very comfortable in the opposition, right?
I wonder though.
Because this is a winnable.
You know what
election.
I wonder? 100%. But you know what I wonder though, because I'm looking at the names, right? I'm just gonna put that back on the screen, and I had no idea who those people are. Shannon Stubbs, never heard of her. She is from Lakeland. Where's Lakeland? So I would imagine she's from Alberta. And same for Matt Generou. He's from Alberta too. So who are the fuck are those? Because what I'm thinking is I'm seeing this right now. Are those the 2 other defectors that were planning about leaving? Remember they were talking about this a couple of weeks ago? How there's like 2 or 3 other people that are thinking.
I was thinking that general name sounded familiar.
Are those?
I wonder if that's where we know it from. Hang on.
So is that who they are? Is that the defectors, and they're saying that's their way of not? Because to me, if you quit your party, and especially in a
okay, so General, the reason he sounds familiar is he's the guy that quit.
Oh, that's him. Okay, so that makes sense.
He's the guy that resigned. Okay, from the House of Commons.
Yeah. So he didn't vote.
Yeah.
And then Shannon Stubbs.
Yes. That whole thing was weird. But he still could have voted, obviously. If they have him down there for an abstention, and he's still on the rolls, he could have gone in and voted. Sylvie says General was rumored to cross. That whole situation was real sketchy.
So basically, I was right.
There's more to it than we're being told.
And no matter what, it looks bad. It looks bad on Polyev. No matter what it is.
If Pam says, I can't see being Shannon, she is pretty blue. So I don't know Shannon, so I'll take Pam's word for it. To me, it's still the strongest, the most likely scenario is still the Poilievre thing, because he didn't need to tell both of them to stay home if he knew General wasn't going to vote. So he knows that's an abstention no matter what. So he knows that he needs to get one of his loyalists to not be there, because what they can't have is one of his guys vote yes in order to avoid an election, right? Because she can't show up if May all of a sudden votes no. Now, if every conservative says yes, then there will be an election. So I think just to not even have that thing, he told enough people to stay home that would, even if May goes yes, that he wouldn't, they wouldn't have an election. And with General not going to be there, and he would have known that before, all he had to do was get one of his people. And it sounds like I think that's probably what he did, is he told Shannon to stay home.
Again, I don't even care what the end result, what the end goal was. The result was the same. And it's going to look bad on Poilievre no matter how you slice it. It looks like weak leadership once again. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. But to me, it's all, again, bread and circuses for the masses so that we can be entertained. And Poilievre went for that, that smile every time he gets up, he buttons his stop button, and he's like, he made the same face when he stood up to say no. Yeah, like Wilf is bang on. It's pretty clear of a uniparty. I don't know, even when, so we were covering the event, right? And we had it on mute because they were mostly people talking at each other doing nothing. So we just wanted to see the vote. But even when they came back from the vote period to announce it, everybody from both sides of the aisle was clapping. When the camera came back in, people are like, it's almost like, do you remember the COVID videos? Everybody had masks on the videos, but like they show you the 10 seconds prior, everybody's passing each other masks. Hey, you have your mask?
No mask.
You have your mask? Do you have your mask?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like. Like the camera came up and they're like, oh. Everybody's clapping. Everybody seems to be having fun. If Canada is indeed getting destroyed, like I keep talking about, how are they partying? How are they having fun? How are they celebrating voting on this and not taking down the government? I'll never understand how the average individual does not get that.
Wait, the Conservatives were clapping?
Everybody was clapping on both sides of the aisle. The camera comes back on, people are clapping on both sides, like, yeah. Ask anybody, like there was a bunch of us. There was a bunch of the people that are there right now. I know Wilf was there, and you should have seen the comment. They're like, disgusting. What the fuck? Disgusting. This is outrageous. What the fuck's happening? Literally, the camera comes back on. Everybody's clapping. What the fuck's happening here?
Yeah, no, I think it was a winnable election. I would have triggered it, and I suspect. I mean, it turns out obviously May did vote yes, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered. But I think the important thing here is pretty clearly Poilievre did not want an election. He didn't want to vote yes, though, and so he engineered things behind the scenes so that May was a wild card, and even if she had switched and gone to no, that they wouldn't have to have an election. But again, I don't know, man. I think if you're Poilievre, you should want an election, even if whatever the polls say, it's a winnable election. Funny thing is, like, there's two trains of thought here. On the one hand, it is a winnable election, but I don't think it actually is for Poilievre, because it's winnable if you're willing to say and do the things required to win, which means come out hard on immigration, start talking, about like pipelines, and you're going to force pipelines through over Indigenous objections if need be. I don't think he's not prepared to say that, but that's what it would take, I think, to win. The other thing too, and this is where this is another, bad leadership move, is it's good for Poilievre personally. That's really the biggest thing, because if he loses another election, I don't think he stays. I think that January, whatever that
review?
Is, recall thing,
leadership
right
review.
now he stays.
The leadership review.
Right? Yeah, leadership review. Right now he stays, because why would you go to all this trouble, get rid of an MP out in Alberta, get this guy elected, and then he comes in and then get rid of him in January? It would make sense. Now, if you've lost another election in the meantime, then it makes perfect sense. But I think again, this basically is just about Polyev having his, collecting the salary and racking up more years towards the pension than anything else.
Again, like Goose the Bruce. Goose the
Yeah,
Bruce,
he should
that's kind of
have.
a cool name. Yeah, Goose the Bruce. PP should have wanted an election. Yeah, but he clearly didn't. And again, you don't need to be a conspiracy theory like me to believe that it's a uniparty and they're all doing this for the show. No matter how you look at it, it looks bad. You don't need to go far down the rabbit hole to look at this and say, what the fuck happened today? What the fuck happened 2 weeks ago when they had the opportunity to vote for the amendments that would have brought down government? The only people that seemed to be that I'm surprised is that the Bloc actually voted against it. I thought they would have been bought because the Bloc is super fucking selfish. They just want shit for Quebec, and if you give it to them, you'll get them for life. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. They don't do this out of morals. They do this to bring more shit to Quebec. So no matter how you splice it up, it looks bad. And what I'm really, really curious to see, and that's what I was saying with Jason Devine earlier, I'm looking forward to seeing the mental gymnastics that the Big C conservatives are going to make over the next 2 days to try to explain why that didn't pass. How to explain how 2 of their owns abstained. Like, how the fuck did that happen again?
So,
very curious to see how they're going to worry about.
Look, my personally, I think he should have triggered an election, and I think it was weak that they didn't. Now, if we're just going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm going to try to give some of the benefit of the doubt, come up with some sort of reasoning that doesn't revolve around I think the actual truth is probably just that they don't they're comfortable in their opposition. Polyev doesn't want to take the risk that he personally will leave, which are obviously bad reasons, but just hypothetically, I'm imagining what they might say if they were trying to, behind the scenes justify it to themselves. I could see them saying something like, and I don't think they would say this publicly, but maybe something saying like, look at the polling right now. If there's another election, we'll lose. And again, I think that's weak because I think it's up to them if they win or lose. But let's just go with the hypothetical here. They'll say we'll lose. But next year, a year from now, when we expect the economic system to be much worse, people will be blaming Carney. Polling will look different. And we can trigger an election on the next year's budget. I'm not saying that's what's going on. I'm not saying I think that's good strategy or wise, but I'm saying I think I could see some of them saying something like that.
Yeah, but they are lying to themselves thinking that they won't have a majority by then. They don't need the Liberals don't need an election to get a majority. They're going to get it. Remember what Mark Carney said last week or the weeks prior?
That's a wild card.
It's not even a wild card. An election would have been a wild card. This is, to me, it's a done deal. They will steal 2 more MPs to join them.
Well, that's because. Go ahead.
That's it. No, but that's it.
Oh yeah, I'm saying
this to me was the last chance for us to get an election for the next 3 years, however is left, like 3.5. Let's call it 3.5 for sake of argument. So that was our last chance to get an election for the next 3.5 years, because the Liberals within the next 6 months to a year, no doubt in my mind, are going to have a majority, and they're not going to go for an election if they have a majority.
No. That was the only reason
Carney
they
is
won
not
an election. Is because
Carney
they
is not here. Carney is not here for the long run. Carney does not need politics. Carney's here to implement the plan that he started with Trudeau. He's here to finish that. And once that's done, maybe that's going to be 2 years from now. I wouldn't be fucking surprised that guy doesn't even do the full term, that he doesn't need to. He doesn't care about this shit. He's here to make money and to continue the destruction of Canada. That's it. That's all he wants. That's all Carney wants. So it doesn't really fucking matter.
I think these guys like the status that comes with being, a prime minister or a president. I don't think he'll just quit.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is that he doesn't need it. He's a fucking
he definitely doesn't
need
it.
Rich.
He doesn't need it the way Polyev needs it.
No, absolutely not. DNL is asking, where are those 2 MPs coming from? They could be conservative. They could be. But, they don't even need to cross. If you have 1 or 2 conservative that are always abstaining from voting, right then and there is like having the votes. But To me, it would be NDP. If I had to take a guess, it's going to become NDP because they have no leaders. They have no leaders right now. They're going to have a leadership race at one point. Anybody who doesn't win that leadership race could easily say, you know what, I'm dissatisfied with the NDP. I'm going to join the Liberals. The excuses are very easy to make. You don't even need to make that much excuses in order. But they're going to be NDP. I don't think they're going to be conservatives because that's suicide to me. Like that's political suicide
for those guys. Yeah, absolutely.
D'Entremont, I don't know if you saw that, but on Remembrance Day in his writing, he got booed by his writing, and then he deserves it. He deserves
and that
it.
shows exactly what we were saying. People are not voting for fucking Chris D'Entremont.
No,
they're voting for the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
Bumpy says they don't have to. The absentations did not impact the vote. Well, the point is they didn't now because May voted yes, but May was a wild card, right? They did not know if May was going to vote no, and if May votes no, then he needs those. If those two abstentions are there, then an election gets triggered. And Poilievre knew one of those general was not going to show up, and I suspect. I mean, this is just my opinion. I think he told the other one to stay home. Because he didn't want an election, but he couldn't afford to be seen as basically voting for this budget, right? Which is what he essentially did.
Yep, agreed. It's it's one of those again. It's we forgot to take that, by the way, Stu. Thank you. Thanks for the
Appreciate
tip.
That, Stu.
Played out exactly as I predicted. May votes for NDP, votes no. Conservative would have lost an election now, let the Liberal wear it off for a while. But there's not a while, that's the thing. And this is what I don't understand from the Conservatives out there. This is basically your last chance of having an election for over 3 years. That's it. They're going to get
if he's able to steal 2 MPs, which is probably a good chance, but I mean he still has to do it.
Is that far out of a crime?
No,
do
it's
you
not.
See that as
it's not far fetched at all. But he still, still has to do it.
Yeah, but he has time. That's the thing, right? He has time. He had at least a 6. Even if let's say that the next budget is another vote of confidence, that's a year from now, man. He has a lot of time to get 2 NDP members to join him. That's not far fetched at all. At all. Easy feat if you ask me.
Stu says only if he steals MPs. Oh yeah, I mean he's already.
Well, that's what he's going to do.
Well, he's already stolen what, 1 or 2 has he gotten?
Yeah, one is he's got resigning.
He got 1 to resign. Yeah,
but the thing is that it's the comment that he made last week. Was it last week or the week before? Where during an interview, he actually said that if your MP is not a Liberal, call her, and have them join the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
So he's literally saying it out loud what he plans on doing. So what's to say you can buy people? You don't think that May got something for voting for the budget?
Oh yeah, sure.
She got something. 100%. That's how it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah. DNL says it's a good question here. I'm curious from the group, what's the most pressing issue facing Canada? If you were to pick one, I say immigration. I say if you had to pick one, but I mean, there's a grab bag of things, right?
I can't just name one. There's too many of them that are as irrelevant to each other as they are. Like, no deal with the U.S. The green agenda is gonna, no matter how you look at it, the U.S. deal, not having a U.S. deal is gonna continue collapsing our economy. The green agenda is literally keeping oil and gas in the ground in Alberta, which is gonna press them more towards a independence. Then you have immigration, that's a massive problem. Then you have our economy as a whole, that's a massive problem. You have the government that is saying that they generated, what was it, 60 or 70,000 new jobs in October, but the thing they don't tell you is that they lost 18,000 full-time jobs and they added something like 100,000 part-time job, and those are the jobs that we're growing no, part-time jobs bullshit. We're coming into Christmas. Guess what? Those jobs are for around Christmas. Does the Santa Claus at the mall counts like a great job to be added to Canada's economy? Yeah, no, definitely not. So no matter where you look, man, it's not looking good. It does not matter where you look. It's all bad. Immigration's bad, or non-deal with the U.S. is bad. Green agenda is bad. Oil and gas staying in the ground is bad. Minerals staying in the ground is bad. Doesn't matter where you look, it looks bad, man. It's not good.
Yep. Definitely lots of issues. But as for Daniel's question, if I had to pick one, and I could only pick one, I say immigration, just because I think that is the root cause of a lot of other issues. I think you fix housing. I think you fix healthcare. I think you you increase wages. You don't necessarily fix other things. You don't fix the economy immediately. You don't fix, although it would help. It doesn't do anything about, the attacks on free speech and those bills, Bill C8C9 or C2C9. But yeah, if it's a magical world and you can snap your fingers, I say, the immigration issue.
Government as a whole is the problem. If I had to pick just one, government as a whole. Mr. Dr. Sylvain Charlebois.
That's skirting the question a little bit.
No, it's not. What's the biggest problem we're facing in Canada?
The
government. The food professor.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's not.
I'm kind of being sarcastic here, but it is a catch-all.
Yes.
Mr. Dr. Charlebois, are you ready to go? Thumbs up if you are. Can you hear us? Awesome. Yep. So, as promised, we are joined by Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, also known as the food professor, to speak about clone meats. Mr. Sylvain Charlebois, bonjour.
Bonsoir.
How's it going? Good to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you guys. This is my second time.
Second time, yeah.
Yes, sir.
You were here a few months back.
Yeah.
I even said last time I heard a swear word already. Jeez.
That's how we roll.
What? We don't swear here. We don't swear here.
I know.
Your ears are. Yeah, exactly. We don't swear here. So
federal politics are more interesting than hockey games these days. Come on. So it's
yeah. What did you think of the vote today? Very quickly before we get into the topic.
I've been listening to your show since the beginning, and I think you guys are bang on. I mean, first of all, I don't think the country needed an election. First of all, so a bipartisan comment right off the bat. But I mean, essentially, I do think this is symptomatic to a much broader problem on the opposition side, I would say. And things could get settled in the new year. Who knows what's going to happen to Pierre Poilievre's leadership. I've interacted with many of them personally on both sides, actually. And I must say that, it's an interesting parliament, but I'd be shocked. No matter what happens in the next few years, I'd be shocked if the Carney government doesn't survive 4 years.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. That's
I
fair.
agree.
I mean, he's got almost an effective majority, if not an official one. But you go ahead, Nico.
All I was going to say is he can gain 2 more liberals to join him, or 2 more NDPs to join him, and he'll have his majority. He's already talking about it in the news like it's normal to invite. I've never heard somebody say that before. To have a prime minister invite the citizens to call their MPs to cross to the Liberals. I've never heard that before. So
you got to get creative.
I've never heard that
I mean, I do go to Ottawa on a regular basis, and I have to say, since April, the tone in Ottawa has changed.
In what way?
Carney's no Trudeau. I mean, there's more adulthood going on in Ottawa. No more gimmicks. Some serious policies are being thought out. There's some seriousness that I really did fail to see between 2015 and to earlier this year. So really, the tone has changed, and you're dealing with sometimes the same people with a different mindset. And frankly, it's refreshing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to disagree on that one, Sylvain. It's all the same.
You can disagree all you want. All I'm saying is that industry, which I think has been undermined for a decade now, is more listened to now than the last decade.
Yep.
They have more of a voice.
We should have you on to talk politics, but today is not the case. I don't want to destroy the time that we have.
You don't think clone
To
meat is
speak
not
about
about politics?
yeah.
Different type of politics,
That's
but yes,
true. That's
yes.
a good point.
But we
There's
have
absolutely
specific
some politics
questions.
in there, my friend.
Of course, there is politics everywhere. Politics is
Mhm.
absolutely everywhere. But let's talk clone meats, because that's something that kind of surprised Canadians a couple of weeks ago. I think it was either last week or a couple of weeks ago. I think it was about 10 days ago that it really hit.
It was October 29th when I wrote my op-ed to out
Yeah.
Health Canada.
But you were
Precisely.
but you were in front of the wave. Like, you were one of the first to talk about it, and then it started being reported as Health Canada is now legalizing clone meats, and it will not need to be labeled as such. That's pretty much what you saw being reported everywhere, and not much else, which is why I wanted you to come on and to spike about it. And to get things started, to start from the beginning, can you explain to people that are listening, to the listeners, what is clone meat? Because we've seen a lot of sci-fi movies, right? When I hear clone meats, I'm thinking pieces of meat being brought into.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm not thinking what it actually is, but I want you to tell us what is. Are we talking about eating dolly? Are we talking about growing pieces of steak in a lab? What is clone meats as approved by Health Canada?
Yeah, so first of all, we're not even sure if it's approved yet. All we know is that Health Canada did not or will not send out a press release. So we will never know, basically, because what they've decided to do, allegedly, according to some of my sources, is that they've decided to consider meat from offsprings of clone animals, so not the clone animals per se, to be commercialized. And so what is cloning? Well, I'll tell you what it's not. Lab grown. So cellular agriculture is not cloning. So lab grown meat basically is, through a biopsy, you extract a cell and you multiply that cell into a bioreactor by feeding these bunch of cells with amino acids and things like that. So that's very different. There's no harvesting. There's no really animals. You just try to create a piece of meat in a lab. It can get to different forms. Cloning is very much about, I'd say, optimizing the genetic pool of your herd. So let's say, for example, you have this one cow, and that one cow is the perfect cow for the market, offering you the perfect ribs, perfect steaks, perfect marbling, and you want to recreate that cow. So typically what you would do is you would go through artificial insemination. So you basically order from a catalog semen to get some of your cows impregnated, hoping for the best. With cloning, you don't have to guess. You don't have to worry about anything. You get guaranteed results by getting the animal you want, and as many as you want as well. So that's what cloning is.
So basically, we're not eating dolly, but we would be eating the offsprings of
Dolly's kids.
I'm so wrong.
So as far as the actual,
but by the way, it only applies to pork and beef right now. So cattle and hogs, nothing else. No chicken, nothing else.
so when
why is that?
why is that?
Oh, you want to talk about politics? Sure, we'll talk about politics.
I'm being sarcastic.
No, but seriously.
Oh, is it like
managed in Canada? What is supply managed in Canada?
Yes, that's what we discussed last time. Yeah, you were on.
So that's why I was making that face, because we know why it won't touch the chickens. We all know why. Yeah, can't touch this, exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, so that's why cattle, hogs, open market. They need to bring down costs. They need to become more efficient. Cloning is it. It's a card.
So as far as once the animal is cloned, it's then raised as normal animal. The process remains the same.
Yep.
So is there? You said you just said they're trying to get costs down. Will this? I assume the cloning itself has a cost, and probably not a particularly cheap one. And then if they're raised as per normal, is this going to be a cost saving measure?
I would think so. I mean, if you're good at breeding, if you're a good breeder, you won't need cloning, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
cloning is not necessary. However, not everyone's a good breeder. And so but you want the perfect results. So you'll go for cloning. And yes, you're absolutely right. Cloning is expensive, but over time it can get cheaper
It'll
because
get
you
cheaper.
probably will get more for your product, i.e. your animals at auction. So that's the key here. And but I know that a lot of people over the last couple of weeks have been quite upset because they are learning that cloned animals or products stemming from cloned animals will be now marketed without labels. And people feel that they need to know, they need some clarity. And frankly, I'd say this is a problem for the meat industry because what I'm hearing right now are a lot of people saying, you know what, if I don't know where these things are, I'm not going to buy pork. I'm not going to buy beef. I'm going to buy chicken. I'm going to buy other things, or I'm going to go to my independent butcher. Independent organic growers. I know of one organic pork producer. He's really upset right now because he's going to lose some sales, probably because a lot of people will just boycott pork altogether, even if organic pork would not see any genetic mutations, if you will.
Seems like it opens the door for some marketing, though, like 100% non-cloned.
Well, that's exactly what's going on. And look at what happened with GMOs. Now we're stuck with this GMO project, and we have GMO-free labels on water
as the primary
or
the
oranges.
Water.
Like, it's a cash grab, basically, and it's confusing consumers. That's the one thing that we're repeating. This one mistake we're repeating again is by basically not recognizing that consumers should have that information at retail. But here's the kicker, gentlemen, and this is probably the real reason why we're not hearing from industry, we're not hearing from Health Canada right now. It's because of prices. Why would you ever want to clone animals? Is to become more efficient over time. So we've seen over and over again in history, we've seen technological advances helping industry become more efficient. But what's in it for the consumer, really? We've seen a lot of technology advances reducing costs, but not for the consumer. How is that? Why is that? Because let's say, gentlemen, I offer you 2 pieces of meat, one conventional, one clone. And I can tell you, you won't taste the difference. It's the same thing, okay? But they're priced the same. Which one would you choose?
A regular one, obviously.
The regular one.
Non-clone. No question.
Not clone. But if I offer you 2 pieces of meat, one conventional, and the clone one is half price, what would you do?
I buy only organic, so I pay more for everything that I eat, no matter what. I'm one of those. So I would definitely eat the non-clone.
A lot of people would buy the half price one. For sure.
Of course, because it's cheaper.
We did a survey on X yesterday. I did ask, and about 27 to 30% of people who are absolutely not comfortable with the concept of cloning would consider buying the cheaper product. And that's really I think that's the real reason why we're not labeling anything. We're not labeling genetic engineering at retail, the presence of GMOs, the presence of like genetically modified salmon a few years ago was approved, and it failed miserably because it wasn't labeled. And this time around, we're doing the same thing with cloning. We're not learning because consumers are being undermined from a moral perspective, but from a financial perspective.
But normally new technologies, the whole goal is to address a problem. Is to identify a problem, propose a solution that will make it better, cheaper, faster, whatever the problem is. Technology normally is invented to fix that problem. But in this case, if we assume, at least for the time being, that cloning is more expensive, because there's an extra step, it seems like, right? You have to clone Dolly, and then you have to reproduce Dolly, but it's still raised the natural way, where it's going to be on a farm. Exactly what we expect an animal to be I don't know if raised is the right term, but
Basically, the cost
does
the cost to raise the animal won't change at all.
Well,
And then
let's
you
say,
just
for
have
no,
example,
the additional.
but hold on. It's going to be more expensive. But what does this address?
Clone, Nico. But if
That
let's say, for example, you see one animal in your herd that eats a lot less, okay, and produces the same amount of meat, what are you going to do? You're going to actually recreate that animal. It's going to cost you less over time.
I get that, but what is the problem that it's addressing? Because that's what I need to wrap my head around is technology normally solves a problem. If we agree right now that for the time being, this is not going to take the price down of our meat, it's going to cause even an apprehension from most people because once again, Health Canada is not doing it the right way. They're not putting it out there to try to inform the public and say, as per this study, there's no problem. Over time, this is what we plan to do. They're not sharing their plan. And you address that before in other interviews. So what's the goal here? What's the goal? Is it trying to lower costs over time? Is it to optimize genetics like you mentioned? Or is it just, to me, that's what I think it is. And
Well, I mean,
but hold on. Let me just say what I believe it is, and you tell me.
Your question. I don't think innovation is always about solving problems. I disagree with that. I would say innovation in food from both ends of the food continuum is about efficiencies. It's about improving. It's about seeking opportunity as well. Or else we'd all be eating, potatoes and steak and everything. Everyone would be happy. But innovation is about changing, improving. That's really what this is.
Sure. But I can agree with that. It's availability. You make it easier. So you're fixing a problem at the end. Like in Canada, people want to be able to eat bananas. They want to be able to eat pineapple. They want to eat fruits that don't come from here. So that's the problem that they fixed by bringing it up here. But the question I was going to ask, is it a possibility that the reason they're bringing up cloned meat right now is to change the apprehension over time, so that just like GMO happened, people were really against it, but like now a lot of people are just like, yeah, whatever, it's just normal to them to buy GMO products today. Do you think this is the first step to kind of bring us to lab meats? Once we accept that the meat that we eat is cloned, it's going to be a lot easier to sell the idea that, you know what, we don't really need the animal anymore. We can just grow the parts that we eat in a lab. You're already used to cloned meat. So do you think that that's a possibility? They're just trying to get us used to eating cloned meats, and then the animal will just be gone?
The moment a few years from now saying, you've been eating it, you're fine.
Exactly.
There you
You're
go.
still alive. You're still okay. You don't have a third eye.
Listen, we wouldn't be talking tonight if it weren't for my op-ed on October 29th. About this, we wouldn't be talking about this. So
was it you
clearly
that
they're not in control of the
whistle?
narrative? Well, I don't think they want to talk about it. And frankly, I've heard rumors from different trade groups in the meat industry. They just want the story to go away as quickly as possible. Why?
Really?
Because it's bad for business. It's bad for the image. And what they think is that people are stupid and they won't understand what cloning is, but they'll be happy with their steak at the meat counter, and that's it. My problem with that is that you'll continue to see a lack of clarity when it comes to rules at retail for consumers. If everything's labeled the same, if all products are homogeneous, it is impossible for consumers to build any market currency around any innovation whatsoever. And innovation brings growth to an industry. Okay. I'd say I would eat clone meat. Okay. And I see value in clone meat because I've read the science. There's no worries. But a lot of people out there don't like the term cloning. They don't like it. They're uncomfortable. And if you're an animal welfare activist, you'd be concerned about cloning because you would know that there's a lot of trial and error in cloning. It's not a perfect process.
Well, I'm sure these same people that are, keeping this under quiet, and as you say, they just think we're stupid, just want the story to go away. I'm sure, talking to themselves, they're just frustrated, and they think, oh, if not for these conspiracy theorists, then it'd be fine. But do they not realize that this behavior is exactly what causes these conspiracy theories
Listen,
to
Rob,
thrive.
I agree with you, Rob. Listen, today I got a phone call from a high executive in the meat industry in Canada, and he was telling me, Sylvain, you're fear mongering. Stop it. You're going to scare people. Scare people. If it's not risky, if there's no risk, label
exactly,
it.
Right? Yeah.
You know, we're in 2025 here. People deserve to understand. And I'm not scaring people. I can tell people it's perfectly fine to eat clone meat. It's perfectly fine. There's no danger. However, it's basically, I'm looking at this from a transactional perspective, from a market currency perspective. And I do think that industry, not Health Canada, not the consumer, industry is basically forfeiting a tremendous opportunity to invite consumers to befriend a technology, something that they've never done before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why. I'm a conspiracy theorist at heart. So if I see an organization, I see a company, I see a government entity purposely hiding the truth, I'm like,
oh,
sure,
Nico, do you want to talk about politics? Brookfield invested in a cloning company in 20.
No, they did.
Of course they did.
Want to get
Wow.
politics?
Of course they did.
Want to bring some politics into this?
But I'm not surprised they're involved in
So there's
everything.
a lot of that on social media right now. I didn't even know. And frankly, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I say, Nico, you probably care.
I
Carney's
do.
in on
I
it.
do. Oh, I'm not surprised. There's a good reason why Brookfield went up 33% since April. That's not a coincidence, but don't get me started on this. The thing is that you said it a couple of times now, and I'm quoting you from Jason Levine's interview. You said that you've read the science and that there's no food safety concerns from a scientific perspective. You repeated it here pretty much word for word, but is that not a hard sell for Health Canada to say when they are scared or they are trying not to identify the meat as clone meats? And shouldn't they just be able to say, as per this study that studied the effect of clone meats on human population for X number of years, it's perfectly fine? Why are they not doing that? What are the studies you read? You know what? Let me ask you this directly. What are the studies that I can go read that will show me that clone meats is actually good for me?
Well, there's actually quite a few key journals in the field of risk communication. So if you actually go on Google Scholar and you just put in risk communication, cloning, you'll probably end up reading some of the articles that I'm talking about. I'll keep it easy for you, but I've argued this to the CFI for years because they've always said, Sylvain, why label anything? We'll scare people. And so why do that? We'll just not label anything. If we label something, we're telling people it's dangerous. But that's the way people thought like 20, 30 years ago. It's not like that anymore. Social media has changed everything. COVID has changed everything in terms of how people perceive risks. They want to know. They want to get to the source. If there's something we've learned from COVID, it's certainly that. Empower people to assess their own risks themselves. And that's not what the regulator is trying to do here.
Yeah, and to me, that's the crux of it. If I could imagine myself,
let the market decide.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like if clone meat was on the market, have been for a while, and it's the exact same as any meat. It comes from an animal that's raised and grown out in a farm, and it's also 50% off. I could see myself buying it too. I don't have a ideological objection to it. All I care about is the health risks and the safety. If it's fine, then I don't give a shit, right? It's meat, and if it's 50% off, that's a pretty significant savings. If you're, especially if you're a young family. But I'm sure, and I think that you would agree. It seems to me the original sin here is the not labeling. I mean, if people want to buy clone meat or rotten meat or raw milk or whatever the hell they want to buy, I think that's perfectly fine. Just give them the choice. Stop treating people like we're idiots, because it's only in that environment of secrets and cover-ups that allows, conspiracy theories, whatever you believe about them, to thrive, whether they're true or not. And frankly,
that's
some
why
of them,
the story is
a lot of them have been
spinning,
proven true.
and that's why the story became viral and is still spinning after a couple of weeks, because people are not getting any answers from anyone. And that's not good. This is not the democracy we want. And I do believe in food democracy. People need to know what's going on in the food business way more now than before.
100%.
So the other side of this story, because when I heard about this is what really bothers me, is I'm thinking small farmers. I'm thinking the people that are actually raising cattle right now. And I've known about Monsanto for 10, 20 years now. Again, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I know what they do.
I spent a week at Monsanto myself in St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this, because they've been bought.
You should actually look on Google Scholar, the case study I wrote on Monsanto. Basically, I spent a week there interviewing a bunch of people, trying to understand how Monsanto became one of the most hated companies in the world. And it was by design. It was basically by design. They thought, so when I interviewed the CEO, along with my friend Rene Van Acker, who's a plant scientist, that was back in 2014, just before the acquisition of Bayer. I asked the CEO, why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you engage with the public, explaining what you guys were doing? You left everyone in the dark, and as a result, everyone is after you. Everyone hates you. I mean, you drove on campus because, Monsanto looked like a campus. I mean, there's 16,000 employees, 10,000 had PhDs. So the mentality about science was very strong. There was a very strong scientific culture at Monsanto. But what he said to me stuck in my head. He said, Sylvain, we didn't bother to communicate risk to anyone. We didn't bother engaging with anybody because the science was on our side. The science was on our listen. This is important. Okay. And this is the lesson that Health Canada is not taking.
Exactly.
Science has no sides. Science is not an absolute.
No, exactly.
Especially when you deal with humans.
Especially what we eat. And this is basically where I was going with this, because Bayers have bought Monsanto, and I was looking at the numbers right now. So on the world's market, when it comes to seeds, Monsanto patent technology holds about 20% of the world seed market, and between 50 to 60% of the GMO world seed market. So they hold a massive amount of patents, and the seeds that they have is sold to growers, and they need to pay a ristourne, as we call it in French, but they need to pay. There's a payback that they need. Sure, let's call it license fee. That makes sense. So what happens when Bayers creates the perfect cow that's lean, that has no fat, a lot of muscle, like the equivalent of the blue cow? That's the epitome of cows, the massive blue cows. Let's say when they do create the perfect cow, it doesn't fart, it doesn't poop, whatever they consider to be perfect. Are they gonna patent it and squeeze the small farmers out of the market, similar to what we're seeing over the past 20 years with their seeds? Because the clone meats is the new GMO, right? It's just GMO was for produce, if you will, but now the GM is still genetically modified, and that's what we're talking about.
Well, not everything is genetically modified. There's gene editing that's coming along right now with the CRISPR technology. I mean, let's face it, when you walk into a grocery store, 75 to 80% of what's packaged has some component that is genetically modified. Okay, that's the reality today. Okay,
sure.
So since 1994, we've been eating a lot of genetically modified ingredients, whether we like it or not, unless you went organic 100%, like you, for example. But not everyone can afford that. So that's the reality. But there's another phenomena happening in agriculture, and companies like Monsanto, Bayer, BASF, Syngenta, they've all made a lot of money because you know what? Farmers like them. They like those companies, and they wrote checks. You know why they wrote checks to these companies? Yields were going up, and farmers were making a lot of money. But things are changing now. Farmers are being squeezed on both sides. They're being squeezed by manufacturers, and now there's been some consolidation. Monsanto was bought by Bayer, and there's BASF. There are a few players squeezing the farmer as well. So right now, farmers aren't as keen to buy into the portfolio of ingredients, because when you actually buy into the seeds, you have to buy the herbicides, the insecticides, everything else that comes with it, because only those products work with the seeds the farmer bought. So that's the catch here. And it worked well for 30 years. People were happy, they were making money, but not anymore. And this is so we're at a point now that I think companies like Bayer, for example, will be challenged. In addition to all the court cases they're facing 5,000 court cases in the U.S. They have spent $10 billion in legal fees and settlements in the last few years, and they're running out of money. So I do think, to your point, Nico, I do think that sector is in for a big shakeup soon.
But where I was going with this is,
so I mean, maybe they're looking for the next big product.
But
oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, you know that those cows, those perfect cows are going to come with a very specific type of food and specific type of water that they need to eat and drink for them to function properly. So we all know they're not stupid. They know how to make money. Let's agree on that one. But where I was going with this is, all I'm seeing right now is pretty much what Amazon did, right? For years, Amazon ran at a deficit in order to become what it's become today. Like, they literally killed thousands and thousands of bookstores at a deficit, and now they are the biggest supply chain company in the world, because that's basically what they are. They have a great way for lazy people like me to order shit online without having to go to a store, and I want to have it this afternoon because I can't wait. I've never had it before and I need it now. So Amazon has been able to corner the market with supply chain. They literally are putting businesses out of business left, right, and center.
Yep.
Do you not think that's the same thing that's going to happen with technology developed by Bayer? I'm just using Bayer because everybody knows who Bayer is, and because they bought Monsanto. But is that not how we're going to see all those small farmers, those generational farmers, go out of business? Because there's no way they're going to be able to compete with the next Amazon of meats that's going to put the product in place, that's going to corner a market through innovation, as you will. That's the word you used earlier, so I'll use your own words. But is that not our future here, that the small farmers are pretty much screwed?
They've been screwed for a while. I mean, to be honest, in the Western world, every country, including Canada, we lose 5 to 7% of our farms every year. It's been like that for 30 years. So we're down to about 150,000 farms, 175,000 farms. If you actually get rid of the hobby farms, you're down to maybe 110, 100,000. That number will continue to drop. Am I fine with that? I'd say, well, if it serves the world well, yes. But the problem right now is that the more we see consolidation, the more people will actually, want to grow the same crap everywhere. Monoculture. The cloning thing is exactly that, by the way. If you're addicted to that one species, that one animal, and you want that animal to be multiplied by 100, well, where's the genetic diversity there? You're gonna have the same animal with the same DNA. Is that natural? I don't know.
It's definitely not natural.
It's not
definitely
natural.
Not natural.
But now Health Canada, by the way, Health Canada has just approved, like last year, because you were talking about cows and farts. Bovaer is a medication you can give to cows so they can fart less and create less methane. And what Denmark is figuring out, and as long as the UK, because they actually went through a pilot, some cows actually can't deal with Bovaer and they're dying, right? They're dying. Yep. And so it was approved in Canada last year by who? Health Canada.
And what does that do to humans? What does
sorry?
that
Yeah,
product
and-
does? What does that product? Because obviously, if
Well,
your
people are
meat is
asking,
injected,
well, is it good for my health? I mean, can I actually drink milk if that cow dies? Does it mean it's not good for me? And we don't know. I talked to the dairy farmers of Canada. Talk to the dairy. Do you think they're going to tell you how many farmers are using Bovaer? There's no way.
Well, and the other thing too about the Denmark case is they passed a law, did they not, forcing the farmers to like
To
they had no
reduce
choice.
methane emissions. Yeah.
Wow.
They're not
And this-
enforcing Bovaer specifically, but they're enforcing emission reductions. And so
That you could probably only meet by giving your cows Bovaer.
yeah. So that's so there's, and of course these solutions, okay, are trying to solve problems through policy.
are you
that
pointing
comes
at me
from
like I'm the
heavy-
problem?
Lobbyists will go after problems, okay,
Yeah.
to make money.
Well, especially problems that create money for some big company.
That's why
right?
your question earlier, Nico, made me feel uneasy, because if you're trying to fix a problem with a new technology, you may actually be fixing a wrong problem, or you may not be defining the actual situation properly.
Or
Well,
the
no,
problem
people-
is not what we believe it is. Because to me, the
Exactly.
problem they're trying to fix is
Should
the
cow
adoption
fart?
of
I
clone.
mean, should
Or no,
cows fart?
clone meats. To me, they're trying
Yeah.
to sell the idea of lab grown meat, because this is going to be the simplest thing for them to do. But there needs to be a transition step between the natural meat and
Well,
the
I don't know where
steak
you guys are
meat.
from, but I'm from Quebec originally, and I worked on dairy farms all my youth. I never heard once my family say, cows are farting. That's a problem.
Yeah, well, I think they're creating problems
Yeah.
to solve, right?
Yes.
You know what?
Exactly.
You can inject all the Bovaer you want to those cows. I'm farting enough for all of them. So don't worry about. We're not saving the planet with
Is that why you're in the
technology. I
dark?
can tell you.
You
Yeah.
look like Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now, you know?
I'm a conspiracy theorist, so it would make
Yeah.
sense. It would make sense.
Darkness.
What a dark-
Did you have any other
Dark-
question, Rob?
No,
Anything else you wanted to
just a final one to sign off. You had mentioned in your first when you first came on that we won't even know if Health Canada has officially approved it or not. Is that correct? Did I hear you correctly?
Well, I was talking to a global news reporter today, and I've had maybe 10 interviews in the last few days about this, and I've asked everyone, please contact Health Canada and ask them for a freaking statement, anything. And so I was told today that they're preparing a statement, so we should have something from them before the year 2053.
Yeah, exactly. 2053. Jesus. Rob didn't catch that joke.
Yeah.
Took him a second.
Sounds
He's a
about right.
liberal. Don't worry. He's a
Yeah,
liberal.
well,
It takes him
cloned humans by then.
takes him a while to get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sylvain, as always,
I
great to
blame
have you
someone
for
on.
your time,
service, my
Doctor.
friends.
Yes.
Thanks for being
that's
here,
right.
Sylvain. It was great.
Yeah, we
My pleasure.
had a lot of fun.
Go ahead.
We'd love to have you back anytime that a
Absolutely.
food-related question
And
comes up.
sorry I couldn't make it last night. I was we were celebrating my one of my daughter's birthdays, so that's sacred.
How
to
dare
me.
you take priority on your
Yes,
daughter's
come
birthday.
on. What's your priorities here, Doctor? Your daughter or just a podcast with two guys you've never met?
Yes, of course.
All right. Cheerio. Take
Good
care.
night, sir. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
that.
Have a good one.
Appreciate your time.
Bye.
It
There
was
you have it.
Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, the food professor. Excellent. Love that guy.
The food processor.
Or the food
Yeah, you know-
processor.
You know what I find interesting of that guy is that you're able to say you don't agree with him and it doesn't
Yeah.
bother him, because I said like 3-4 times I don't agree with you. And he's like, that's fine. So no matter if you believe in clone meats, if you believe that they're safe and effective, I don't believe they are, but I'm gonna go check the data. But I like the fact that I like guys like him, even if I don't agree with them. And I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying if you can
Yep.
have somebody on the show that has completely different views from you, but that's ready to come on, talk about it, and see He's not trying to convince me that he's right. He's just,
No.
this is my opinion. You agree with it or not? That's fine. But it was good. It was good to have him on, man. I like the guy. I can't help myself from liking the guy. I like the personality. So
Yeah. I agree. I think he, he's a straight shooter. He just calls like it is. He's not trying to push anything. And I'm not ideologically opposed to clone meat. Like I don't have this attitude like I would never ever touch it. I just want to be sure it's safe. Like there are scenarios where clone meat could be perfectly safe. Like, cloning occurs in the natural world as well in the form of twins, identical twins. I'm like, you could have an identical twin cows. They are both genetic copies of each other, and you could eat both of them and they would be fine, assuming they didn't have any other issues. I don't actually think it's even the cloning per se. I think it's all the other stuff baked into it. Like, for example, is
don't talk about it.
Is there?
But it's the fact they don't mention
Are they putting anything into the process? Are they using this as a way to insert, I don't know, some other something into the food chain that they don't want to talk about, but they want you to have? Or is there, and maybe, when you see, cloning in the real world in terms of form of identical twins, that's one thing. But maybe when you repeat the process over 1,000 or 100,000 times, maybe there's something that happens and the whole structure breaks down. And, these are all hypotheticals. We need to know them. I'm not saying that's the case, but it certainly, it's not, it would be ridiculous to just dive right in and be like, oh yeah, clone meat, perfectly fine. But I don't think there's any reason to say I would never ever touch it no matter what. Well, that's as Lewis says, Lewis de Vloot says, like mRNA. Yeah, I mean, this is it's a valid concern, right? What if they want to give you the next vaccine that way?
The thing is the fact that they don't want to talk about it, the fact that
that's the biggest
subject, the fact that they don't want to label it right then and there. I'm like, something's wrong. And now my mind is just going to all the places it shouldn't, or it should. But I believe, like I told Sylvain, that the idea here is, I use the Amazon example on purpose. Amazon took a deficit in order to make what they really wanted to happen. I guarantee you that Jeff Bezos knew what he wanted. He just used books as a way to put a supply chain company together, and then he just exponentially grew it to pretty much everything. To me, they're doing the same thing. They're going to take a hit on the technology in the meanwhile in order to develop what they really want, and it's that lab-grown meat. Because can you imagine the price difference if you did not have to feed that animal, you didn't have to bring it to life, you didn't have to have it on the farm somewhere. You could skip all of that part and just grow the portion, the sirloin, just grow the part that people eat, because the technology is there, but it's been shut down. It's been shut down because people are like, yeah, fuck you, I'm not eating that shit. But give it 10 years
and I think
of
that's
clone
what people
meats where clone meat. No, but give it the 10 years of clone meats. People get used to cloning just like they got used to GMO. Now it's not even a conversation for the average Canadian. How long did that take? 10 years? So give it another 10 years for clone meats. We're going to see you can buy sirloin that was just grown as sirloin and then be it. I don't even know the technology that they're going to use, but that that's where to me, that's where they're going. That's the end goal. That's what I was asking him. What's the problem they're trying to fix? And the problem they're trying to fix is how we see cloning. They're trying to make it normal. They're trying to normalize it so people don't really question it anymore. And what's next? Cloned humans. You said it as a joke earlier, but that's where they're going. It's all, and that's called eugenics, by the way, for the people out there. That already happens because you can go in vitro right now with your kids and you can literally choose the color of their eyes, their size, hair color, and all that shit. You can design your children. But all to say that, to me, that's where it's going, is that they're trying to normalize cloning. So 10 years from now, nobody will care. And we're just going to eat whatever the fuck they want us to eat. It's not even going to be meat anymore.
You
will eat the bugs.
Your digital ID says you're over your beef quota this week. You're gonna have to have the lab meat. Yeah, it's
But that's
you know,
not but that's not even a joke. They're already talking about it in the UK. They're already talking about having a personal carbon footprint, and to eventually, hey, you know what? You ate too much red meat this week. You have all the money to buy more, but sorry, you can't buy more because you produce too much green gases. You farted too much. You caused too many cows to fart. So now you need to eat bugs because that has no footprint.
Yeah. It's you know, it's these are the kind of hypotheticals I think it's important to think about.
It's all fun and games until you don't have a choice to eat insects.
Yeah, until it's time to eat the bugs and you don't have the option. All right, guys.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna put a pin in there now. Hopefully, you guys like that conversation. I thought it was excellent. I really enjoy Sylvain's when he comes on the show.
I thought it was excellent.
Yes, it was it was an excellent. Yeah, I thought we did just an excellent job. No, I like him. I think
the best.
I think he's
the
best. We did the best. We do the best interviews. Yeah, I think I think he's good. I think he's a great guest. He whether you agree or disagree, you know, he's pleasant. He makes his case well, and he leaves space to be disagreed with. And that's
I can't help from liking it. I like him.
Yeah,
I can't help myself. I like the guy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the kind of guest that I think fits exactly what the show is all about and what we're trying to do. Other than that, guys, actually, if you are, I'll sign off with the spiel. If you are joining us tonight for the first time or for any time, you want to support the show, if you appreciate what Nico and I are trying to do here, please consider becoming a member through YouTube. You can do that for $2.99 per month. You can also buy us a coffee in the top right or top left. Do as Stu does, our resident tip giver. He's always giving us just the tip. Appreciate you, Stu, and everyone else.
Let me close up on something because I forgot the sponsor. Tonight's episode was brought to you by Gabble, the world's first live video debate app on the market. You can choose to sit back and watch, or if you have the balls, join in and debate others, because like us, Gabble is all about civil discourse. Check the description below for our affiliate link and support us by supporting Gabble. There you have it. That's it. I'm done.
Yep. So on that note, guys, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.